Bubbly, gooey, golden brown, creamy, spicy, tangy. I mean, what more can you ask for? Hey guys, it's Mandy from Lady and Pups. I'm with Food52 today again to bring you a Thanksgiving side dish that's really gonna kick up your holiday dinner. Okay, so I call it Kimchi Gratin. Okay, so gratin is a French dish, usually like potato gratin. People are familiar with. It's basically just vegetables that are baked in a really thick, creamy, cheesy sauce. And in today's case, we're going to use kimchi. The most common type is the Napa cabbage kimchi that is fermented with chili. In more traditional Korean kimchi that's fermented as a whole, they tend to be more pungent and strong. It's garlicky. It's more like the pungentness comes from the shrimp paste that they use to ferment the kimchi, so it's more like in your face. Versus like if you go to a supermarket chain and you buy kimchi that is made by a big manufacturer that wants to appeal to a wider audience, their kimchi tends to be more sweeter, has a higher sugar content, and less garlicky and less strong and less sharp, okay? In my opinion, there's not really right and wrong. I mean, it's really depending on your personal preference, so just buy the kimchi that you like. So here, my kimchi is already cut. If yours comes in a whole, simply remove the tough stem that's holding everything together and cut the rest into like an inch or 2-inch segments, okay? And you want your kimchi to be relatively drained but not squeezed dry, okay? As long as it's not like sopping wet, it's fine, okay? Now the next thing we need to do is make the cream cheese sauce base, okay? So here I have anchovies, 8 anchovies, in 1 tablespoon of the olive oil that they were soaking in, okay? Plus 1 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And the important thing about using anchovy is that you really need to brown your anchovies, okay? Don't just add it directly to your sauces, because the anchovies could go from like salty, fishy, and disgusting to like nutty and savory. Please, please, please always cook your anchovies, unless your anchovies are like super high quality and then, you know, they can be used as a topping. Otherwise, you have to brown it first, okay? So I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So start cooking these anchovies on medium-low heat, slowly, and then just break it up with the back of a wooden spoon, okay? You really need to break it up into like small pieces. Like at the end, it should almost look like a paste instead of, you shouldn't be able to see like anchovies, a whole chunk of anchovies. Now there, you can see that it's completely broken up. It's almost like a paste, right? And it should smell, it shouldn't smell fishy at all. It should just smell like nutty and savory and pungent, okay? Now, what comes after that is just super simple and straightforward, okay? We're gonna put heavy cream and plain whole milk yogurt into the mix. This is the base of the cream sauce, and the yogurt is really important because it adds that tang that kind of cuts through all the heaviness of the cream and the cheese, and also, like, you know, it kind of accentuates the sourness of the kimchi as well. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add pickled chilies, and you can use, I'm using my own pickled chilies. You can use pickled jalapeno or any other types of pickled chilies that you like, and you can see that I am not really finely mincing them. I want these like large chunks of it, so that each bite is kind of different. Like, you know, there's one bite where I bite into this like sour and, you know, sudden burst of heat, and then there's another bite that doesn't, so it makes it a lot more interesting to eat. So that goes in. And then grated garlic. And again, that garlic kind of like, you know, again, accentuates the garlickiness of the kimchi and also adds a lot of flavor to an otherwise really heavy dish. Really importantly, we're going to add freshly grated nutmegs. Whenever I do any kinds of cream-based sauce, I always add grated nutmegs. I don't know where that came from, but I just feel like it cuts through the richness of the cream sauce and it adds like, kind of makes it more complex, sort of make it less monotone, okay? Now, last but not least, of course, we're going to need our cheese. So here I have already measured out. So before you add all the cheese into the sauce, I want you to take out about 1/4 cup of it and set it aside. This is going to be reserved for the topping. And then you can add the rest into the sauce and then give it a nice mix. Okay, so this is what it looks like after mixing. So now, what I'm gonna do is, really importantly, I'm going to mix about 3/4 or maybe like 2/3 to 3/4 of the mixture into the kimchi instead of all, because I want to reserve a part of it as the topping, the crust of the gratin, okay? So I'm just gonna eyeball it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to be super meticulous about this. And then I'm going to add that reserved extra cheese that I have into the rest of the cream sauce base. And then I'm just going to mix the kimchi. So the whole thing is basically going to look like a big tub of pinkiness, okay? So here I have an oval-shaped baking dish. And all I'm gonna do is just transfer all of that. And I'm just going to flatten it out, spread it out a bit. So here it is. Okay. Once you have that, you can put this on a baking sheet just in case that it overflows during baking, and then in the oven it goes. Middle upper rack, okay, in the oven goes 200 Celsius, fan on. If you don't have a fan oven, do 220 Celsius. And we're gonna bake this for about 35 minutes until it's completely bubbly, okay? Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the toppings, okay? So here I have some purple shiso leaves. So shiso leaves by any means is not a common ingredient that you could just find in a supermarket, I think. Even here in Asia, it's not very easy to find it. So if you can't find shiso leaves, you can use here some fennel fronds. Here I am just thinly slicing it. And then got my gratin here. It just came out of the oven. Nice and partially charred and browned. And then I'm going to add that reserved cheese sauce on top. I want to spread it out as evenly as I can, even though the sauce is quite thick at this point. And then just simply scatter the thinly sliced shiso. You don't want a big clump like that anywhere. You want it to be like a few fronds here and there. And then I'm going to add just a bit more freshly grated nutmegs on top. Again, this is just to add complexity to the dish. Then last but not least, this depends on your heat tolerance level, but I love spicy foods, and so I'm going to add extra chili flakes on top of the gratin. It's called, I think it's called gochugaru in Korean, and you can find these easily you can use any type of chili flakes really, okay? And how much to use really depends on how spicy you want the dish to be. I mean, what's the point of eating kimchi if it's not a little bit spicy, right? So now that goes back into the oven. I'm going to turn the oven on into top broil on high. And this is going to bake under the broiler for about 5 to 8 minutes until it's completely browned and golden brown on top. And then the last thing, this is kind of optional, but I love it. The last thing is that once the cheese has melted, I like to brush just a tiny bit of toasted sesame oil on top, okay? And that's gonna make it super shiny and again adds another layer of complexity to the dish. Then it goes back into the oven for just a couple minutes until it's completely lava-like. Oh my gosh, this just came out of the oven. And just look at that. Oh! So let's see, it's cooled down a bit. Oh my god, I can't wait. It looks so hot. I'm gonna risk my life digging into this right now. Oh my god. I'm gonna just go out and say that this is gonna be the best freaking vegetable gratin that you will ever make. I don't say that a lot. If you watch my video, I don't over dramatic about my food, but it's just so amazing. Like the kimchi, it's not really baked to death. It still holds up its texture. It still has a bit of a crunch and then a bit of a juiciness to it, but the sourness, and I can't stress this enough, the extra white vinegar that I add to the kimchi, because I felt like this kimchi was not sour enough, that really plays an important role into the overall balance of flavor of this dish. The spiciness and just that hint of that shiso, and then even that hint of that little tiny bit of sesame oil that we brush on top, it comes all nothing stands out and say like, hey, like, you know, I'm shiso, or I'm sesame oil, or I'm kimchi, or I'm chili. Nothing like that, but everything just melts together and it works so amazingly. You know what? For the past couple weeks when I was testing this recipe, you know what I eat it with? A plain bowl of steamed rice. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you think that cheese sauce on rice is weird, you're wrong. It's just freaking amazing. I guarantee you this is something that you are going to make not just on Thanksgiving, but this is going to be a routine in your home. And you're gonna love it, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Please make this. Let me know what you think. I love it, and I hope you love it too, okay? See you next time, bye.
Chip.